Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Alhamdulillah.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, we arrived on the third day of International Short Course in Islamic Finance and the Halal industry. In the last 2 weeks, we have discussed about how Islamic finance contributes to the development of the Halal industry from the fintech perspective. Today, we have special guest. He actually visited Indonesia last week, and we also had the opportunity to meet him and discuss about today's topic. We also had a chance to take a short clip, which we will show you today. And today's topic is building the future in the new Islamic digital economy. Our guest today is Dr. Hakan Aslan. He's a director of the Research Center of Islamic Economics and Finance, and also a head of Islamic Economics and Finance Department at the Faculty of Political Science at Sakarya University, Turkey. But before we invite him, we would like to show a clip that we have prepared for you, and it actually discussed about our topic today. So please play the video.
About the topic that you will teach on the next course, do you think the digitalization age will affect the financial industry in a global perspective or in a Turkish maybe?
Actually, digitalization affects not only economy, everything in our life. Like in our daily life, our conversation, communication, public relation, economy, education, everything. What we have actually, COVID-19 pandemic, we had past events, it boosted this process. Why?
Yeah.
Because we cannot go to schools. Like we need to find a way to online education. Now in our education became 100% online. We get used to it. This is the first effect that we have. Because of that effect, in our country, I don't know, in Indonesian case, in many, for example, like PhD vivas or other things, we were thinking maybe it's difficult, but now it's very easy. We can invite other people just online, doing through like online platforms that we can do. This is the effect on the, for example, our education life. For the economy, now during pandemic, actually pandemic is a very good case to explain the effect because it boosts the process.
Yes.
So it's very easy to adapt and understand. We were sitting at home. I think all around the world we had it like for months. Sitting at home, nothing to do. Everybody became on the computer, sitting in front of the computer, and you need to talk about that. And you need to food, like we have very restricted hours for going shopping. Other times you need to be at home. And we get used to it, like ordering food, shopping online. Even people have never do this in their life, they learn. They learn during this process. Yes, maybe younger age, it's very easy to adapt this process. But all those, maybe like my parents, even like the older than them, they don't know how to do it. But they need to adapt, and they learn, and they benefit it, and they like it. Because for them, like some old people, it's difficult for to go out their daily life, going shopping, buying food. Now they learn from the online. This is the part of the digitalization and the direct effect of the our economy. Because now we don't need to open the shops, so it's reduced the cost. So if we go further, start to learn some digital companies, especially who is working by like office jobs. If not, you do your work remotely. You don't need to come to office. Now it's reduced the cost. Like some businesses, they close their offices. They say, oh, they see it's very cost efficient, and it improves the quality of the work in many places. So they said, okay, you can work remotely. Even after pandemic finished in many countries, they start to continue this process. This is another effect, digitalization, and we learn about this process. Then we start to learn, if we talk about like financial technology in our life, we can go through the past. For example, how to say, we can consider the history of the money. Like we started like in the human history, we started with the coins, then we get the paper money. Then after a while we learn about the debit cards, then the credit cards. Now, and everything became digital. Now we have the bitcoins and other kind of cryptocurrencies in our life. Now I don't know how other people do, like, but I can say from my personal experience, I get my salary. It's just numbers increasing in my bank account and decreasing in my bank account. So I don't see the paper money or real money. It's just numbers. It's the direct effect we are already living in. But the term fintech, it's became more popular after like 2005 and 2008 to be precise. Start to be like financial technology effect in the economy, in finance sector. So what kind of things happen? Like briefly, financial technology is using the technology for your financial operations to make easier, user-friendly for the customers. That's what it do. So we had this effect during pandemic and affected our life. For example, I came here. Sometimes people doesn't speak English. I came out from the airport, and what to do? Just download one app. Call the taxi, whatever, for transportation, everything, the order for. I don't need to know any language. Because this user-friendly app helps me to wherever I go, even I don't know the language, even we cannot find a common language, this helps the people and boost the operations. Maybe in Turkey, in Indonesia, in anywhere in the world, you have just small shop. And because of through this digitalization, if the customer comes to you, you cannot serve. But that helps you to adapt your menu and everything for English, or you have international customers. So this is the positive effect of the financial technology in our daily economy.
Okay, so you said that many younger people are easy to adapt to the technology, but for the oldest people, they really struggle to adapt this kind of technology. In have this demographic bonus in 2045, which are 70% of the population is in 70% is in productive age, which is less than 5 years old. But then the remaining 30% is the oldest generation. What do you think about it? Like how the government should do to ecosystem so it can make the process easier for both generations.
Okay, so what I can say is actually, as you mentioned, this process called demographic bonus. There's a bonus. There's
it's a bonus.
Positive meaning. What does that mean? Like, because you have many people in will be working age, so that means your the burden. We have social security system. I don't know in many countries like this, because retired people's salary paid by the people who is working already, and the premiums goes to them. So minimum ratio should be between them is like 4-to-1 for each working 4 people. It should be 1 retired person. If you have this kind of balance, you are very safe, we can say. But moving towards that area, so we consider the financial technology. Okay, so we said older people, it's difficult to adapt to financial technology. Even just now I mentioned some people in their life, but still, even in my relatives I know personally, they are not choosing to use even like simple bank operations through their mobile app. They are difficult. But younger generation Z, maybe after generation Alpha will coming. Now the people, it's just others at the moment. So they are grow with internet and technology. Like I can talk about my kids, sometimes know better than my father about the technology.
Yeah.
So for them, now we learn when we teach them the alphabet, we are not teaching them alphabet. The alphabet is also computer coding. Now because many things we are computerized and we adapted to technology, in this way they will be more in advantage, and Indonesia will be used for them in advantage. But the thing is, this younger generation needs to adapt the technology and put it in their life, and they need to increase their skills. If they didn't increase their skills, if the daily labor jobs, to be say precise, labor jobs will be less needed because of the financial technology effect. The computerization will affect them. In this case, what will happen? Because they will be labor jobs will be done through the computers, robots, and other things. So that's why it's if you want to use in advantage, maybe the government needs to use education, training them for adapting the technology, teach them in the coding in the younger age. So maybe they develop other programs and other things, other skills, so they will be benefit. If you don't benefit, what can be the negative point? You have too many people and not sufficient number of jobs. What will happen? That will cause huge problem in the economy. It will cause from the sustainability problem. Then because because of the many number of workers around there, employers will think that okay, I was giving 10,000 salary. Even I give 5,000, I can find people to work for example. So they will decrease the number of salaries, and there will be economic imbalance. So government needs to plan that from now on, because we have still around more than 20 years. Otherwise, you will have huge difficulty. You need to find proper jobs, job creating opportunities in your country. That's what I can say.
Yeah, I think that was a short and nice discussion. I think that's all. Thank you very much, Dr. Hakan Aslan, for coming and for thank you. Terima kasih. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, that was a video that we shot in Surabaya when Dr. Hakan visited Indonesia and visited Surabaya, and we came all the way from Malang to Surabaya to just meet Dr. Hakan. So without any further ado, please welcome Dr. Hakan. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all. Salam from Turkey. Thank you very much for your visit. Actually, you just mentioned, we were talking about that for my visit to Indonesia. I'm very appreciated for, I'm an honor to be here as a speaker on your program. And I was very honored when you come to visit me in Surabaya. Thank you very much in my behalf, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, how was your trip?
Alhamdulillah, it was long and a bit tiring trip, but now I'm fine.
Yeah, so Dr. Hakan, we have discussed about today's topic the last week, and today we want to hear more about it. May you share your screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you have 15 minutes. Is that okay? Or until 30 minutes is okay?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's almost Asar time. Yeah, in Indonesia.
How many minutes do I have?
15 to 20 minutes, maybe.
Okay, I'll make it up.
Yeah, okay.
Today, inshallah, we'll talk about the Fintech and Islamic finance, its practices and implementation in global context. Actually, in the video, we try to talk about some specific cases and how it affected us. So I have some limited time, so I'll speed up in some introductory parts, but maybe in the detail we can go more further ado. If you have your questions, I think you can ask to our moderators, so we can answer at the end. It will be more efficient. So before we starting to our topic, fintech and Islamic finance. So how we can implement to develop our economic system. That's what we are trying to explain today. And before we starting to talk about fintech, we should focus on the development of economy, how it started, and we need to give some basic definitions. So what is fintech? Fintech basically defines that we use technology in our financial services. This is how we define. So digital economy, it's actually broader definition of the fintech. Fintech is mostly focused on the financial technology and financial services. When we talk about digital economy, it actually provides not only financial services, banking, insurance system, wealth management, but also provides supply chain management, halal food processes, and other issues as well. So when we talk about Islamic fintech, or in other words, when we use abbreviation for IFintech, it's the way of using financial technology applications, products, services, activities, which make it Sharia compliant way. And digital economy is also same, using Sharia compliant economic activities. That's the main definition. So these are before we giving this basic definitions for our topic, so we'll go focus on our industrial revolution. So how we came to the fintechs. So industrial revolution, as we talk about, we are the fourth industrial revolution era at the moment. So it started with using steam engineering in the for the industry. Then we start to have assembly line. So by industry 2.0, we start to have the scale economics. Scale economics came in our life when we came to the industry 2.0. When we came to the 3.0, this is how we define when the computer systems intervene to the production management era. Then we start to have, this is called third industrial revolution. But now we move forward, not only using the computer internet systems, computer internet system maybe in our life, especially started at the end of 1990s until beginning of 2000 and new millennium. But after first decade of the millennium, we start to use more artificial intelligence systems, and mobile devices, mobile phones that we use today start to have internet easy access. So it helps for developers to develop more productive ways to implement mobile applications for our mobile phones, so we can have easy access for financial services wherever we are. Besides that, now we are using, for example, artificial intelligence and for our payment systems. What does this artificial intelligence helps us, or also cybersecurity systems? For example, when you go to the payment, for example, take this fourth industrial revolution step by step from the payment system. Given an example, in the first era, you were paying by the money. Even before the industrial revolution, we were paying maybe with the coins, gold coins, silver coins at that time. Now then we start to have, in the first revolution, we start to have payment by paper money. In the second industrial revolution, we'll still continue to paying with the paper money. But by time when we system develop after the third industrial revolution, now we started to have debit cards, credit cards introduced in our life. So it's affected. Actually, financial technology starts when we start using the technology. Today's world, you only think of the computers or internet developing apps. But when we talk about the real financial technology, because using technology in its era, It's actually started with the steam engineering because it was new technology for that era and increase for the production processes. So when we come to the fourth industrial era, now we were everybody get used to, majority at least, a majority of the people get used to the paying with the debit cards, credit cards. But now what we are having, now we have the artificial intelligence which can recognize our faces. For example, even our mobile phones, many people can have the access. You just either using your fingerprint or sometimes you're using your face recognition, you can open your phone. And same way, you can proceed your bank transactions. I don't know any of our audience doing this kind of processes. In also some countries, it's developed like that. When you go to the market, you don't have anything with you. Imagine you don't have your phone with you, you don't have your wallet, but you need to go to the market. What you can do, if you introduce your face, you just use your face for your payment procedures. It's the fourth industrial revolution in our life. So I can give one simple example for the payment methods from the one to fourth. This is how we can understand. So when we talk about the fintech, what kind of services that we are having, it's actually really broad sense of activities that we can talk about, like when we mention financial activities. It can be for our bank services, in insurance services, it can be for wealth management, for our trade, especially for the trade. Actually, in the video I mentioned, for the trade part, it increased, especially for retail marketing. It's really huge increase in the using for the financial technology in our lives. Because of the COVID era, everybody was at home, so you need to do all your shoppings and orderings online. So it was huge increase. And this increase, this demand caused many apps in Turkey. I can say like several apps even wasn't existing before COVID era. In 2 years, there are maybe tens of apps now we are using. It's at least a few of them became our daily, our regular apps in our life. This is how fintech works. Like also some people say, I will mention in the later slides, when I was in Surabaya, I was also talking about fintech, but in most of the Turkish case, I was talking about like establishment of the fintech initiatives. Like there's huge numbers, but someone asked me why their numbers are low now. Because I said this is the way of success in the financial technology. And I asked this question, like maybe tens of programs or initiatives will start, maybe only one of them will achieve the success. 9 of them needs to try another way or needs to develop their own way. I can give example. For example, today when you use your phone for communication, how many of you using any app other than WhatsApp? It's became global way of communication. Now we are not using the email or other things. First thing we ask mostly is became WhatsApp. Maybe you can add 1 or 2 more, but you cannot say hundreds different application for this process, right? Because maybe hundreds of applications developed for communication. 50 of them already couldn't develop in the initial phase. Some of them go to the market and produce their products, but only 5 to 10 of them became very acceptable and globally used. And some of them maybe became local and still working in the different countries, maybe different apps. So fintech can develop what kind of areas that we can use the fintech. So we can use in artificial intelligence, big data, and quantum computing and other areas. So what kind of things that will help new era? So when we use artificial intelligence, it will be easy to access. So we'll lower the human work in our process, in the financial services, in the economic services as well. It doesn't need to be, because when we mention that fintech, it's also implementing the whole economic system. For example, for retail services, you need some help. They have robo-advisors, like you need a product. Till some point, you can solve your problems by robo-advisors. What does robo-advisors do? Using the artificial intelligence, when you ask any request to them, and they're helping you and leading you the product you need, service you need, by using robo-advisors. So this is the easy way. So what does this help? It maintains lowers the cost, and you don't need to real human help till as long as you don't have big problems. This is huge development and increasing service quality and fastens make faster for the customers. So we have other products I'll mention later on, like we'll talk about like cloud computing and blockchain. So before moving that, so we'll check on the, so this is it was the development of fintech. So when we come to the context of Islamic finance, first I want to mention development of the Islamic financial system. So currently we exist $3 trillion USD in global context, and majority of them focus on the banking. 70% of the Islamic financial assets is on banking. Then we can see the sukuk is coming as a second, then Islamic funds, then 2% for the takaful. So what does this number says to us? I will explain in afterwards. So we'll go more detail for the country developments. So this is Islamic finance development indicator. It's this report announced every year. This is the year for the report for the 2022, but index coming for 1 year later. So we'll see the most developed countries in terms of Islamic finance, but how, in what sense? It's not only taking the quantitative development. What does that mean, quantitative development? It's considering the financial assets, financial services, but they are also including knowledge like research and academic papers. Then for the governance perspective, they are including for the what kind of regulation and governance system that you have in your country. Awareness includes like, even like, for example, awareness, if this activity also considered increasing the awareness in the Indonesia context, for example, and corporate social responsibility. So these are the 6 different components for the calculating Islamic finance development indicator. And these are the 15 countries we can say develop. So considering these 2 information that I mentioned, like first one, we are seeing the development of Islamic finance, and we are seeing majority of the assets on banks, and we can see the countries. So this numbers actually tells us which countries will be most developed in the fintech area as well, because I will share the details of the development of fintech initiatives by country size as well. So it will be easy to read from this 2 reports that we can see banking services will be leading for the fintech initiatives like banking, payment, money transfer, we can say that, and maybe borrowing, lending. This is also banking activities, right? So this is the 70% of the assets. So fintech initiatives needs to find solution for that. Then we can see the number of the countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Saudi, Bahrain, GCC countries that we are seeing, and Turkey we are seeing here. So these countries will be having probably similar way of growth. We'll see similarities. Let's go more details. So we see the size of the Islamic finance size of the countries. So the Saudi Arabia has the second after the Iran. Iran is the $838 billion, and Saudi comes the first, second. Then we can see Indonesia here in the 7th grade, and then Turkey in the 9th position in the by asset size of the Islamic finance. So these are the Islamic finance activities. So I consider that our audience know the concept of Islamic finance fundamentally. Like I don't need to mention about like all the contracts. So what areas that we are using? So these are the Islamic finances. So what areas that we are using, practicing Islamic finance, which areas in the fintech that we are using for in our contracts. So we can see there, like in the funding, trade financing activities, that we have different ways of activities, and the Islamic fintech initiatives that we are common and using for today. And we are implementing Islamic financial contracts in our life, is implementing this and making them easy to accessible and understandable for all the people. So this is the basis of the Islamic fintech. So when we check out the countries, I think we are short in time, so I will speed up, I guess. How much time you said 20 minutes I have?
10 minutes left.
Okay, 10 minutes. I'll speed up. So we can see many countries, as we mentioned. Do you remember, like we saw the list? Indonesia, Malaysia was the top 2 in the Islamic finance indicator. So they are the they are the countries that they are facilitating, making easy for fintech environment. So I just mentioned that we have different areas to use for financial technology in our life for financial inclusion. It's one of them, because when we talk about the Islamic finance, we have like moral perspective of the Islamic finance, and we wanted to reach for the poor, and we will have microfinance initiatives. This is one of the difference between our conventional finance and Islamic finance. So we can use like artificial intelligence, mobile payment system and apps, make for these people to easy access to the microfinance initiatives. So when we look at the global perspective, like currently, according to this report, we have 335 Islamic fintech initiatives. But when we talk about fintech initiatives, maybe thousands of fintech initiatives, but these are the fintech initiatives that we have. And you can see majority of them for the alternative financing. What I've told you, when we look at the reports of the Islamic finance, that we can easily see the fintech will follow them, because we need banking operations first and payment operations. And so fintech initiatives also following that. So besides that, what we can say, like, okay, banking, payment operations, what is different here? Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is the new term that we are having, which is actually initiated with, we can say, initiated with the financial technology, because you're funding yourself from the crowd, like other people that you have never known. It's actually a charity box, you know, the mosques that we have. I think in every country have, and in some countries, you know, in the Friday prayer, they are passing the charity box. That it's actually non-technology used crowdfunding way. It's the crowdfunding for the sadaqah. You know, you're funding, you don't know who is funding you, all the funding is there. It's actually a basic way of the crowdfunding. But now we digitalize that. We use for the sadaqah, we use for the zakat, and we use for the microfinance. Now we are using those crowdfunding for the share-based crowdfunding opportunities. What does that mean? You can invest in a company's initiatives, not only for the stock exchange market, you can also be the shareholder by crowdfunding platforms. So when we look at closer look, so I want to focus, like, what are the main problems that we are having, like customer education, access to capital, regulation, finding good talents for the financial technology, and cost of customer acquisitions are the top problems for the development of financial fintech market, Islamic fintech market. So what makes more enhance and enables fintech's products for people, mostly like capital, talent base, geographical expansion, regulation, and new emerging technology. Sometimes you have new technology, it was costing you more, but now you have new system, it lowers your cost. So we can see mainly like Saudi Arabia, Iran is leading in the by market size because it was the same when we compare the asset size. So in the fintech size, it's also system. So when we look at the graph on your right of the slide, you can see the countries who are really well developed. You can see Indonesia, Malaysia in the developed countries that we can say the leading countries in the Islamic fintech. And Saudi Arabia is in the middle, like by asset size is the big, but for the development, we can say it's between the emerging and leading. And other countries, most of the countries, we can say still maturing. most of the Islamic countries, we can say it's the maturing area. They still need time for going forward to emerging era. So we can see like different levels of developments in the countries by country index. This index calculates the development of the fintech development of the countries. We can see that Malaysia is leading in here as well, and Indonesia in the third level. It's same level. What I told you at the beginning, it's same level of development with the Islamic finance development and fintech development will be parallel to each other. You can see the countries here and almost the similar countries. You can see the financial development as well. So by region and different ways of marketing, you can see on the left part of the column, you can see alternative financing is the leading, because with what I mentioned, banking sector is the leading, payment sector is the most necessary part of the financial technologies. That's what we need for our era. So by regions, you can see the development like Middle East is leading, and Southeast Asia is the coming at a second. And for the sectors, you can see like crowdfunding recently became leading in the financing era, and alternative financing and payments, if you combine them as a banking service, is kind of, we can say, leading activities. I'm trying to speed up. I will not go for the details. This is the country that just now I mentioned for the global financial technology developments. And you can see the by market size, if you see the top 6 OIC countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates, Turkey, and Indonesia is the leading OIC countries for the global Islamic fintech market. You can see the dark colors on the left map. You can see the dark colors is the higher index rate showing, and lighter colors is lower index rate that we can say. And these are the average median values of the for different regions. And you can see Southeast Asia and Gulf countries, GCC countries is leading in this area. So when we focus on the different countries, leading countries, you can see what kind of things are deficient. So because of the time limitation, I will not go for each detail. If any further questions, we can answer later. But we can, for example, mention about Indonesia. What is missing in the Indonesia? You can see in the right column, the global outreach is missing for the Indonesia. The other part is, we can say, mostly well-developed. Market share regulation is well-developed, as we mentioned earlier, but they need to use their financial technology in other countries as well. Maybe I can mention one more country, like we can see the Turkey. Turkey is also good in the market share, very good talents in Turkey. Actually, they are, by not only for Islamic fintech, but in the whole fintech area, I can say more than 500 initiatives in Turkey. They are good talents, but in regulation era, we are slower than other countries. Recently, like last 1 year, we are start to implement more regulation positions for the financial technology, and it's difficult to access, easy to access for the capital. Maybe like mentality for the investors, for the investing or the fintech initiatives is not that well developed. So when we look at these are the survey based on the fintech developers and made by the World Bank. So what are the enablers? As we mentioned, like capital, finding talent, and the capital is the most important things. And secondly, for the what can helps a fintech company to grow better, it's like consumer education, which is awareness, adaptation, that we can say is the most important part for fintech companies to develop. What does that mean? So we can elaborate a bit, because even though you develop very well mobile app for payment system, peer-to-peer lending system, peer-to-peer insurance system, but as long as your customers doesn't understand what you're doing, as long as your customers not educated well, so your app will not worth much, will not worth anything. Because you need to first educate them. You need to market your product in the area that well-educated people in terms of financial technology, fintech literacy, they will be there so you can market your product. So what are the opportunities? Like there are, we need to enhance Islamic fintech reach because we have global market and young population is coming. In majority of the Muslim countries, the younger population is higher than older generations. So that means that we have big potential in the Muslim countries, and we need to aim critical financial inclusion gaps. So what does that mean? Like, because we couldn't do it in the conventional ways of doing the finance, so we need to use the fintech way and make people understand the financial technology and other apps too, so we can reach those people by providing microfinance or payment innovation and so on. Besides that, what can fintech helps? Well, now we have sustainable development goals. It can make easier for people to reach sustainable development goals in other countries. So what are the possible challenges and risks? So we made for people easily access for borrowing the money, lending the money. So you can, in many countries, I think it's similar, like as long as the amount is not that big, you just use your mobile phone and do just a few transactions, a few registration, you can easily access some amount of money. So it's very easy access. Just in a few minutes, you may access the money. But this may cause for a person going to debt trap, like because he thinks that getting money easy, but you doesn't think about how he's going to pay back, because lack of personal financing education, lack of financial literacy, this will cause debt trap. Now, we are developing new technology products, okay? So this causes new ways of the fraud, because you have new technology, nobody knows how to use, and they hear some financial technology, they download some app, and they see what's happening. They can be scammed by other people because nobody is adapted. And also, artificial intelligence customization is a very important part, because if you don't customize or develop well your artificial intelligence system, for example, sometimes it can offer you like unnecessary products that you are facing, maybe not in the product, if you're using online retail marketing, or if you're using any online robo-advisory systems, they may offer you something based on your interest, but sometimes maybe you don't need it. And for Islamic perspective, if you buy something that you don't need it, it's unnecessary. On the other hand, artificial intelligence can lead the way to make access the people who is more profitable, and make people who are really in need for the financial inclusion, and they are excluded from the system, and they are not easy to access because they are not profitable. So artificial intelligence may develop in that way. On the other hand, if the system, for example, sometimes we have fintech initiatives, they are offering both compliant and non-compliant products. If artificial intelligence see more profitable way, they can offer products non-Sharia compliant for the people, and this kind of things needs to be customized and developed. So as a concluding remarks, what we can see, like we can see there's a very friendly ecosystem or developing friendly ecosystem in many Muslim countries. We saw in the Malaysia, Indonesia, Turkey, and so on. And current customers, or like the people who are studying now, maybe in the future, in following, there will be the ones earning the money, and they are the younger generation, and they are very easy to adaptable for the digital banking. This is a plus point. And this young population will also adopt other new financial technology products as well. In many countries, you can see they announce national aim for the fintech strategy. We have recently we announced for this strategy report, and we have different strategies for each country. We can say they're aiming for developing their financial technology system. And what I suggest, younger generation needs to focus on the financial fintech literacy, like what is fintech products, what are they, and how they help their system, and how they can use it. And they need to develop their coding system, not just to be customer, they need to be a developer. If someone is interested in the financial system and they want to work in the financial system, they need to also focus on the coding part as well, so they can also develop their own products. In the next decade, maybe we may see like 90%, even more than 90% of the people totally digitalized. Like I was mentioning in that video that you show, you know, now we are not using cash, almost none of cash for the during whole month, except for several transactions. We are not always using either credit card payment, digital payment, or in Indonesia, I saw very common the QR code payments. So in next decade, it will be much more. Maybe we will be totally almost 95% cashless society. So we need to be ready for it, prepare for it, and get ready for it. And lastly, I want to end with my speech. So using fintech, we all mention all the details about maybe cost efficiency. We talk about the maybe how to get maybe more profit, ways of using fintechs, but we shouldn't neglect, if we're talking about Islamic finance, we have to focus on the spirit of Islamic finance, the essentials, using this digitalization to reflect the true spirit of the Islamic finance. We shouldn't just focus on the, yes, fintech helps us reduce the cost, increase the profits. This is not the way of thinking Islamic fintech. We need to use the fintech, how we can help the poor, how we can make people more reach to the easier to access for microfinance, how we can help society, develop the society in using digitalization and using financial technology. This has to be main aim for the Islamic fintech. Thank you for listening and for your patience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hakan. So I'm going to read some questions here about the artificial intelligence. Could it be something harmful to the industry that is labor intensive? Because, for example, Indonesia has a huge population that most of the industry is a labor intensive.
Sorry, couldn't understand the question. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah. The artificial intelligence, could it be something harmful to the industry because it shifts the function of the labor itself?
Yes. So this is actually a debatable question. Like, I don't know whether I have the exact answer for it, because it will affect artificial intelligence for sure, affect the labor activities. What I was saying in the video, you showed, like I said, a younger generation needs to put some valuable work, valuable development for themselves, so they can find better jobs in the future. For the labor jobs, most of the labor jobs will be done maybe by robots and other things. So this will affect, for sure it will affect, but can be, I cannot say 100% will not affect or some, but it can be some other alternative ways. Other alternative jobs maybe will be created by the time, because there will be some other areas it can be needed for the human help. But we can say, like what I said, for the economic system, not, for example, if you're talking about labor, we can see for the marketing, retail marketing, for example, you use any shopping, maybe like globally known Amazon, I don't know, probably you have in your country as well. They are using artificial intelligence and they just use robots in the whole area, majority of the area. They just use very few labor, because they recognize everything is digital coded. But sometimes you may need for human help, because artificial intelligence is developing well, but I said there's a risks. It can develop in other ways, especially for the Islamic finance area. Like, for example, halal product. Okay, you develop and give the codes for halal product development, and they are giving whether it's halal or non-halal permissions. But this will be difficult for artificial intelligence if this bind it to other words. So it will affect, for us as a short, I can say it will affect, but I don't know what kind of solution that we may have. It's a bit debatable part.
Yeah, it is. It's very complicated because in developing country, we have so many labor that still used in the industry. So the next question is about the recession. A global recession is expected to occur in 2023, which is next year. What do you think about the financial technology prevention to face the recession?
Actually, global recession is we need to go back till COVID era. Actually, it's what I can see. It started not only COVID era. There are actually different global circumstances affecting this situation because of the COVID era. So we changed our economic system. So everybody was using car, but now the government says you need to stay at home. Now you cannot use the cars. You cannot use the cars. You cannot buy petrol. So petrol prices, we see the historical record low. Even in US, I saw the minus prices in the market because it was producing so much. They don't have any place to stash the petrol. We saw this kind of numbers. But now what happened? Okay, so I'm producing too much. They lay out more people, they discharge the people from the jobs. So, and then what happened? So after recovery of the COVID, like many people, maybe labor people became, they lost their jobs because we don't need any conventional ways. This is actually partly answers your question as well, because people is mostly at home, but it created another kind of jobs. I don't know whether you realize motor drivers in many countries, because you are shopping online, it created another type of job. It wasn't common in Turkey that much.
Yeah.
Like in Indonesia, maybe it was motorbikes always common, but in Turkey it wasn't that common. But now we saw many people, not for daily transport, but for shopping purposes. You can see many people, cargo parcel delivery guys, motor delivery. It created another job. So this can be also another alternative in the future. On the other hand, this global recession, okay, so now after recovery part, more people needed petrol, more people needed a job, more production that we needed. We started again, but we couldn't catch up. Sudden increase caused global inflation. And in some countries like Turkey, they are suffering more than other countries for the global inflation. But this will cause recession, because also we have kind of energy problem in some countries. This will cause maybe reduce the production. Reduce your production, you will limit your consuming as well. This will cause, but financial technology, how it can help, it can enable people to cost reduction way of providing other solutions. It can be helpful for find more sustainable ways of financing, for the supply chain management. Because if you go to conventional way, maybe you will consume more petrol, more labor, but we can find other sustainable and more cost reductive ways of solutions. So artificial intelligence can help to develop this kind of products, but that we will see in the future.
Yeah, eventually it creates an alternative ways.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and about the security system, in 2000, if I'm not mistaken, we face this millennium bug. So many countries are afraid about the digitalization era in 2000, and the security system becomes a concern for some countries. What do you think about it?
Actually, the millennium bug didn't affect as much as they afraid of. This is not the case, but what are we having the problem, main problem? The cyber security, because everything became digital. Our identities, our face, our fingerprints. In your mobile phone, many information is there about you. I can obtain your phone if I can receive all the information. If the security is weak, I can act like you. What does that mean? I can do all your financial procedures from behind the screens. As long as I don't go to the real world, I can be you. I can be anyone. So this is actually provides the importance of the cybersecurity and verification system. Data identity verification system is very important, because we need to have double, sometimes triple verification systems for this kind of procedures for your banks as well. For example, you might want to make transaction, you're doing from your mobile app, then sending another message to make another verification, because it's very important. But if this cybersecurity is not provided, first, if any company has problem with the cybersecurity issue, it will lose the trust. It will be bankrupt for that company, because people will not go there anymore, because they will think that my identity information, my information is not safe, so I'm not trusting there. This is much important than that millennium bug, because now we are providing our identity information, bank account information. How many companies, I don't know, daily use? You use, for example, many online shopping. For travel, many apps that you're using. For, I don't know, for groceries, or not, even like you go some small markets, they ask for identity. If you say, if you register this system, you will have extra points. You're registering here, registering there. Your identity is everywhere. If it is not secure, we are having very huge problem. This is, I'm not expert on that cybersecurity area, but if this can break it down, it can cause very huge problems in the global market.
Yeah, that was very impressive, Dr. Hakan. Thank you very much for your time today. So I think we're done for this course. Thank you very much, Dr. Hakan, for your time, and we are very appreciate. We are very appreciate for your time. And may you close this course and give a statement to recap this course.
Okay, I can summarize in a few sentences.
Yeah.
I can briefly say financial technology is increasing hugely and became in our daily life has never been before. After the COVID era, we use this very much, but it will be in our life in next decade. Now maybe in our life, financial technology 50%, it will be more than 90% implemented in our life. But if we're talking about Islamic finance and Islamic fintech, Islamic digital economy, if you're talking about the way of Islamic fintechs, we shouldn't focus only the easy access, cost reduction, profit increase. We need to use Islamic fintechs for helping the society, reaching the real spirit of the Islamic finance. That's what I can say. I'll try to provide in this course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hakan. And for the participants, you have 4 courses left in this short course, and I hope you can attend every course and get all the materials by the end of the course, and also the certificate that you will get for this course. And we will close this course with Hamdallah, Alhamdulillah. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hakan.
Sama-sama.